This guy is a serial criminal. His name is Thabo Bester, and Thabo is about to conduct the most astonishing real-life prison break you've ever heard about. So Thabo is a convict serving a life sentence in the Manhunt Correction Center, which is a maximum security prison in Bloemfontein in South Africa. This is actually the second largest private prison in the world, and it is managed by British multinational security firm G4S. You have to have done the worst forms of crimes to be sent to such a prison. And Thabo is serving a life sentence for and murder. Now, how did Thabo get here? Basically, Thabo has lived all his life in crime. He was born in 1984, and people say he was conceived under unclear circumstances after his mother, who was just 16 years old at the time, was forced into non-consensual by an unknown man. I don't know why these details are important, but every report I came across seemed to include it. He was eventually raised by his grandparents. Perhaps those circumstances would loom over as Thabo led a significantly troubled life. By age 4, Thabo was caught already stealing from a neighbor, and it got worse from there. As a teenager, he served time in prison for burglary. Not clear how much time he spent in prison, but he was eventually released at age 17. But Thabo was not about to change. Prison time was not motivation enough. In fact, he graduated from petty theft and burglary to sophisticated con schemes. Like he was writing fraudulent checks and conning people out of their money. But then he got this new idea. He was going to start a modeling agency. The modeling agency is up and running. He calls it the I Model Management, which was an international model recruitment and management agency. So he gets advertising it, and he advertises on Facebook, scouting for young, beautiful ladies who wanted to become international models. Other times he just get people he knew to become his recruiters. Like one time he got his hairdresser who would scout out for girls with the features that Thabo was very specific about, took pictures and details of them, and then sent to Thabo via WhatsApp. Sometimes they would even check in the girls into hotels, and there they would meet up with Thabo himself to give them the job and discuss their career. So the modeling agency is a hit. It blows up, and girls are dying for this opportunity. They want to become supermodels through Thabo's agency. Yeah, you'd think Thabo has changed, that is making the best out of his life, but no, nothing close to that, because this modeling agency is just another one of his con schemes. So after getting these girls, he'd say that he wants to meet up so that they can discuss their modeling career, and when he's alone with them, he pulls out a knife and straight up robs any valuable possession they have, from money, laptops, phones, jewelry, and any other valuable possession. Other times, after robbing these women, he would go ahead and essay them. It was terrible. And what is more terrible is that he conducts this scam for years and victimizes so many women. Then one day, for some retarded reason, Thabo gets a girlfriend, and they date close to a year. It is not clear if he halted the fake modeling agency scheme during this relationship, or he was still conducting it during the relationship. But anyway, the relationship seems to be quite normal. Until one time, Thabo and his girlfriend get into a bad fight. Real bad. Because Thabo grabs a knife and unalives his girlfriend there and then. So people in the area have noticed this commotion, and they call the police, who come and arrest Thabo. And this leads him to being convicted of essaying and unaliving his girlfriend. Then on top of that, some of the cases of the models he robbed, essayed, and unalived in the past also catches up, and he confesses to some of them, which is also convicted for. It is in 2012, and Thabo is now sentenced to life in prison. His case is of public interest, and he is duped the Facebook because he predominantly used Facebook to lure women, then essay them and unalive them. He is said to be one of the most manipulative and dangerous predator on record. One of the psychologists who interviewed him even said that he was a smooth-talking persona who could easily gain anyone's trust and manipulate them into doing whatever he wanted. He added that Thabo exhibited signs of impression management, showing little remorse for his crimes. So Thabo is locked away for life. Now let's shift and talk about this lady. This is Dr. Nandi Famagudumana. Let's call her Dr. Nandi. Dr. Nandi is a socialite doctor, a very popular and respected medical professional and entrepreneur in South Africa. She has her own clinic where she treats skin conditions and also does plastic surgery. And on top of that, she was listed as the top 200 young South Africans by The Guardian. She's flying high in her career. And also, Dr. Nandi is 33 years old and has 2 children. So for some odd reason, Dr. Nandi gets in touch with our guy, Thabo. By now, Thabo has spent about a decade in maximum security prison. It so happens that Dr. Nandi and Thabo knew each other. Some say they went to school together, others say they met at an event when Thabo was acting as an event manager. That is not important. What is important is that they are now talking. So they are chatting on phone and she starts visiting him in prison. Then gradually things turn romantic and soon it's a whole romantic relationship. This well-to-do doctor and a very respected career woman is now deep in love with someone convicted of unaliving his previous girlfriend and is saying so many women. And all this time, Dr. Nandi is a married woman. She is married to another doctor. Now back to our guy Thabo. Now Thabo was not just sitting in jail idle. He was still trying to run his scams from inside the prison. And with Dr. Nandi around, he thought he had solicited a helper. Soon enough, Dr. Nandi gets entangled in his schemes and she's now aiding him con people from prison. Now, Thabo is not short of ideas. At this time, Thabo has already started a media company and he calls it 21st Century Media. And that was intentional because he wanted to create misleading associations that would make people think that it is a subsidiary of the American company known as 21st Century Fox. He then hired top media professionals as full-time employees to work for him. He then goes ahead to organize a launch party for this media company while in prison, and somehow he manages to make it an exclusive party only attended by Joburg's high society. Remember, he's in prison serving a life sentence, so he cannot attend his own launch party. So Thabo organizes to join the launch party virtually. He appears on video in the event, dressed in a suit and wearing a designer watch and very well groomed. He tells the people that he's called Tom Motsepe, the founder of the company, of course, and the host. People understand that he's a relative of Patrice Motsepe, you know, the South African billionaire who is a mining magnate and the president of the Confederation of African Football. That one. So the reason why Thabo could not attend physically, he tells his guests that he's based in New York and everybody believes him. Then it so happened that that particular day was also his birthday and he got people in the event to sing happy birthday to him. Thabo is hosting this very big party in the high society of South Africa while in prison. You have to give it to him. And here they are singing for him happy birthday.
Crying.
Yeah, he definitely was not crying. He was laughing at you people. And here he is, all blushing, happy and laughing at them maybe. I honestly wonder how these attendees feel now looking back at themselves, singing happy birthday to their founder in New York, aka maximum security prison. And that was just the beginning, because sometime later, Thabo organizes a grand event advertising for a Women in Media conference through his scam company, falsely advertising that he would bring A-list Hollywood celebrities Halle Berry and Taraji P. Henson as guest speakers to this conference. Obviously, he was not about to hold any conference. It was just a scheme to make money out of ticket sales. And he sold tickets, a lot of them, at 1,250 rands per ticket. Thabo's company is really popular in South Africa, so it makes waves. It's a hit. Everybody wants to be part of this conference. And word spread, and somehow Halle and Taraji get wind of the events, surprised that they were scheduled for something they did not know about. And so they make official statements distancing themselves from the event and dismissing the claims that they would attend. Then observing this, a South African media personality who was set to be a guest in the event, Bonang Matheba, backed out from the conference. Then some sponsors pulled out and other personalities also pulled out from the event. So Thabo is left here looking like he lied. But he was not ready to go down or appear like a con this time. happen. So through his company, he let out a statement saying that they were disappointed by the withdrawal of celebrity guests and that they were going to sue the respective agencies that they used to book the Hollywood celebrities for the event with. This manages to calm everything down. Then the company announced that the event now will be invite only. But I guess nobody was invited because it never happened. Thabo was just out for a ticket sales scam. Now what is surprising is that Thabo, as the founder, Tom Matsepe, hired 30 employees at his fake media company. And these employees reported that Thabo was very hands-on with the company operations and would send them money every time they needed it. They were running like any other company. Some even claim that Thabo had convinced them to quit high-paying job at big media houses to join his company, 21st Century Media. Now, a quick look to a Twitter account that is said to be of Tom Motsepe. It has photos of Thabo edited on other people's bodies, like this one where he edited his face on Michael B. Jordan's body, the American actor. Everything Thabo is doing may make you forget that he's in prison. So yeah, he is in prison serving a life sentence. Then one night, on the May 3rd, 2022, while Thabo is sitting in his isolation cell, a fire starts. And in the process, his mattress catches on fire and he burns and loses his life. The guards find him burnt beyond recognition. So they immediately call his immediate contact, who is Dr. Nandi. She comes in and she identifies the body, and so they pronounce Thabo dead. He had lost his life in the fire. Now Thabo's mother, they have not been in contact for a very long time, but she hears that Thabo lost his life in prison. So she decides to claim the body and give him a decent burial. She goes to the morgue and nobody believes that she's Thabo's mother. So they demand that she takes a DNA test to see if indeed Thabo was her long lost son. She does, and the results come out negative. They are not a match. So she's not a match to this body and she's claiming that this body is of his son. Then whose body was this? So they take the body for autopsy, and here is when they receive shocking news. It was discovered that while the body had paraffin on it, the lungs had no traces of smoke inhalation. So what this means is apparently this person did not die in a fire. In fact, they found that the person had died from blunt force trauma on the head. So definitely this person was not in the fire that happened in the prison. So Thabo and Nandi were still madly in love. And because they wanted to be together so bad, they started planning a way to escape prison and go out and live together. Dr. Nandi would use her credentials to scout for unclaimed bodies that look identical to Thabo in morgues. Then she would go there pretending to be a relative looking for her lost kin. Then she's shown the bodies and she would identify them as the lost relative that she was looking for and claims it, saying that she wants to go and give them a proper burial. At the same time, in the prison, the guards take Thabo to an isolation cell for disorderliness. And this isolation cell that he's taken to happens to be a part of the prison where the CCTVs are not working. Now Dr. Nandi gets in touch with some prisoner wardens and they collaborate. They smuggle the body that she claimed from the morgue into Thabo's isolation cell. Then the cell is set on fire and they give Thabo the warden's uniform, which helps him walk out of the prison unnoticed. Finally, Dr. Nandi and Thabo are now together as they wanted and they are living their best life. They are living in a posh part of town, not very far away from the prison that he was jailed at. And they continue conducting the Facebook scams and other fake business scams which they come up with, which allows them to live very lavish lifestyle. Like they are wearing designer clothes, buying expensive jewelry, luxury cars, and staying in a multi-million mansion. The prison authorities are aware that Thabo escaped, but everything is hush-hush and the news do not make it to mainstream media. So Dr. Nandi and Thabo are living freely in the open, and a year goes by. Then one day, Dr. Nandi and Thabo and Dr. Nandi's two kids are out in one of their shopping sprees. A curious fan of Dr. Nandi then sees them and takes a picture of the couple and posts it online and asks netizens, who is this man with Dr. Nandi? And as people look at the picture, they notice this man looks very similar to Thabo, the guy who died in a fire in his prison cell. As the picture made its rounds in the internet, investigative journalists then get into the matter and they start digging. Soon, a damaging article is published about how Thabo faked his death in prison. The news spread like wildfire and every news outlet was scrambling to get their hands on the gist, covering the news relentlessly, and soon the whole country was in a manhunt looking for Thabo. Dr. Nandi and Thabo see this and they're like, oh no, we need to get away from here. They flee South Africa by road and their plan is to go to Kenya where they planned to hide. But the Interpol catches them in Arusha with fake passports as they try to cross the border from Tanzania to Kenya. This was on 7th April 2022. So they are extradited to South Africa and there Thabo is convicted and is sentenced to life prison again. Actually, he chose to represent himself in court and he pleaded for a death sentence, claiming that prison conditions were unbearable for him.
Huh? I have clothes in my bags that have whatever branding. I am not allowed to wear clothes that cost a certain amount. I was told that I can't wear clothes that are Louis Vuitton or whatever because it gives the wrong impression. It's already confirmed that I have escaped, but no one knows the true facts. It is already confirmed that Thabo Bester is a murderer, but there's no evidence. I am self-convicted. I pleaded guilty to the most crucial, or most dangerous unit, which is called the Katomena Killer Squad. Forced me to plead guilty. A death sentence be given as a petition, that the public signs a petition and I be given a death sentence, and immediately I will agree to it. So we end this matter.
Of course, his request was denied because his complaints about prison is ironic given the heinous nature of his crimes. Dr. Nandi was also arrested and charged with fraud, aiding a fugitive, and murder. This is because if you steal a body and use them to cover up a crime, that is considered a murder. Then other people were arrested and among them was Dr. Nandi's father, who was a former prison warden, and another G4S supervisor. They both were heavily involved in aiding Thabo escape prison. Then the public was also very heavily involved in this case. They were putting public pressure on prison authorities, seeking answers of how Thabo's escape was hush-hush for over a year. The prison authorities claimed that they kept Thabo's escape quiet because they wanted to carry out an investigation first before announcing anything. Now, while justice has been served, one cannot help but question if Thabo will try to manipulate the system again.